This is the Score Esports, the ultimate esports experience. The Score Esports is your home for everything Overwatch, delivering the biggest stories and all the scores and updates you care about in real time. The Score Esports takes you inside the ropes with exclusive video interviews, features, highlights, and analysis. Even get all the same non-stop amazing coverage on your desktop at thescoreesports.com. The Score Esports. Get it now from the App Store or Google Play.
They call it the Death Star. We need to find a way to defeat it.
Cargo shuttle, what's your call sign?
It's Rogue. Rogue One. You might want to strap in.
Security measures disabled.
Welcome to the rebellion, soldiers.
Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Världspremiär på bio 14 december. Köp din biljett på sf.se.
Exclusive black equalizer brightens dark scenes without overexposing bright areas. Use the S-switch to quickly access the setting and switch between save modes.
Hello and welcome to day number 2 of the Overwatch Championship, coming to you live from a DreamHack Winter 2016, powered by GeForce GTX. My name is Zoe and I have the pleasure of being your host for the show. We already had an amazing first day yesterday and this one is only gonna get better. We have a lot of great games lined up for you. I'm joined here on the panel currently by Mitch as well as CP. Guys, we had quite the action and quite the excitement already yesterday. Have you had a favorite game of them all?
I honestly think that what we saw from Complexity in NIP was probably the most entertaining for me, one of the closest games. As a result, later actually didn't end up being as close as it maybe would have been initially, but we saw some really good play from both those two. No surprise at the top of the group.
For me, I would have to agree, it was NIP Complexity, where, again, Complexity was under this veil of secrets where we didn't really know how good they were, but they've definitely been leveling up, and they are a threat in the scene, so they're not out of it just yet. We'll get to see more of them later today, and I, for one, I'm excited.
So am I. I mean, there was the Sombra pick. I honestly didn't expect it because, like, prior to the tournament, we were discussing, we were thinking, like, can she already be picked up? Are the teams like familiar enough with her? And Complexity really was. Torx, Sombra was really, really well played, and it really seemed to work against that tank meta as well.
I think that Complexity are adamant on not playing a triple tank comp, and they're really trying to work around that a little bit more. They play really nice 2-2-2 with Sombra there as well. I mean, some ways that we've seen Sombra played in the past, like constantly hacking health packs just to get ultimate percentage, that isn't great, but the way you can set up Earth Shatters for your Reinhardt by getting rid of the enemy Reinhardt shield with EMP is awesome.
And the other thing, too, is don't forget how when Ana came out, it took teams a while to really get used to running Ana, where she was released and then was playable. Teams didn't play her for a while, and then they realized, wait, this is how we mix Ana into our compositions. And Complexity could just be the first wave of teams going, you know what, we think Sombra's viable, here's how we're going to use her. They did use it to set up tank ultimates, as Mitch just mentioned, but there could be even more potential to be unlocked, and we'll just have to see how it evolves over the course of the next few months.
Well, we're definitely going to see some great games coming out of all those teams today. Let's take a look at the groups to see where we're currently standing. We already had to say goodbye to one of the teams, and that's Unwanted from Group A. Ninjas in Pyjamas, no surprise there that they're leading their group, followed by Complexity and Penta coming next. In Group B, we have Misfits and Fnatic, both on 1-0, and then Mousesports and Team LDLC also on the same score. So we're still going to see the losers match, the winners match, and two decider matches. So this is a big deciding day for all of those teams to see who's going to make it to the playoffs and who has to go home. So let's take a look at the bracket to see what we already have been seeing in Group B. Fnatic went up against Mousesports, and that was a 2-1. Very interesting game, as we did see Anubis, for example, which was a bit of an unusual pick. We don't see that too often at the moment. Yeah, I mean, overall, it was... I didn't expect Mouse to actually take a map off Fnatic there.
Yeah, I mean, it was in more interesting circumstances, perhaps, than you might be used to seeing. Anubis went to a full draw situation, which meant that we went to a best-of-3 tiebreak on Lijiang Tao, which I thought Mousesports were very, very good in. Unfortunately, that was played off stream, so I was frantically live-tweeting out what was going on there. But I think Mousesports look really good on those kind of maps, on the control maps, but their King's Row is lackluster, to say the least.
Well, King's Row, they went into a blunder there, where Fnatic is phenomenal on King's Row A, and then Mousesports perhaps not so great, not as experienced on. For Mouse, I definitely feel like their strategy going forward is going to be to put the more experienced teams on maps they don't like, and that probably includes your assault maps, it probably includes your control maps, so we'll see how the draft worked out for them versus LDLC, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of those maps show up in the pool.
For sure.
Well, the guys are just getting ready on the stage. So the first match we will be seeing is the losers match of Group B, and that is going to be Mousesports going up against LDLC. Now let's take a look at those teams, and who do you guys think are the players to really watch out for?
These two teams are super interesting. I think LDLC actually, in my opinion, is a bit of an all-star team that never really grew out of Tier 2 yet. And Mete on your screen there as well is a very consistent, solid player. But this team, of course, has got players like Cabal, players like Clanton Clown, who's been in esports for so long. He was one of the very top players back in enemy territory, actually. Used to play for Overwatch Kings. So him and Cabal, obviously from Melty, that's a very strong core to this team.
Absolutely, and again, it's sort of interesting to watch the Melty roster sort of dispersed across the scene, where some are in Bonjour, some are in LDLC now, but it was a team that at one point had very high highs in the scene. You have to go way back, but they've been in it for a while, and it's just finding that right mix of players, and LDLC hoping that their current mix is going to give them that potential.
Look at how he's playing with the camera. What a handsome man.
He's like Overwatch dad, by the way. He's very much inside his teams as well. Like he's very much a voice of reason and a voice of calm for his players. A very good leader as well. He also beat Jason Kaplan at table tennis while he was on crutches.
I think that is a very
He's a very skilled individual.
Okay, Jason doesn't give the impression that actually happened, but I believe you.
Oh, you asked me.
Because why not?
So yeah, you take a look. That's Clown and all the rest. So LDLC will be interested to see how they work out here. And
I mean, the games we saw from them yesterday, at least we get to see them, they were played off stage, was against Misfits, and that was kind of a one-sided affair. Misfits did take the first map, Dorado, and Lijiang, they did get one round against Misfit. I believe it was even the first one.
They did get a round, and then Misfits came right back. And Misfits actually looked much stronger than what we saw a little bit earlier when they were scrimming and all the rest. It feels like they worked through some issues that they might have had with communication.
Exactly. Now let's take a look at their opponents, Mousesports. They had to face off against Fnatic yesterday, and again, that was a very interesting match to watch. Not only for the reasons that Mousesports had an interesting map pick there, but also for some other stuff which we will go into when we see Fnatic play. But guys, lead us through the team of Mousesports.
So for Mousesports, one of the players that's really been standing out has been Logix. This has been a 76-dominated patch, and we've been seeing Logix come through and really carry fights for Mousesports, where he's been getting in, whether it be with his team or coming in on flanks. He's been finding ways of making the 76 work and carrying Mouse through fights. Meanwhile, in Mouse, you do have veteran leadership like players like Burix, who have been in the scene basically since forever.
And Burix is a very driven and dedicated player. A lot of us were surprised to find out he doesn't actually look like an anime girl, like his Twitter profile.
I don't think it's an anime girl in his avatar, to be honest.
I'm not sure.
I actually think it's just a very pretty random blonde girl, but he's not her.
No.
And that really confused me because that's what I expected.
It threw me off as well. And I mean, he could have his own face. He's a pretty good-looking guy. He could have his own face on Twitter, but that's beside the point. This is a team that actually has struggled to get really good practice opportunities in the past. Now, a lot of these teams we're seeing at the moment actually played recently in an online tournament here. Finzi, one of the top players from Iceland, actually he and Seal were representatives of the Iceland national team during the World Cup qualifiers. They didn't make it to the event itself, And Burix was also picked for Team Germany, but also had issues and couldn't make it to the event. So we've got a real caliber on this roster.
Absolutely, and one player we haven't talked about for Mouse is Swoosh, where Swoosh has actually had some very big Roadhog moments. I wouldn't call him as reliable as a Himsy or Harblu just yet, but there's definitely been points where we've been watching the team and go, wow, Swoosh just killed 3 people, and he's been going up on that.
Yeah, I mean, Swoosh has got experience in Overwatch as well. He played with Team Endpoint at Insomnia 58, so he's actually got Overwatch LAN experience, so he definitely knows his way around the battlefield.
Well, we have been wondering what maps we're going to see out of those 2 teams, and we're going to lift that surprise for you now, as we do have the vetoes and the picks ready for you. So we will be seeing Lijiang Dorado and Hollywood Dorado being played first. Any surprises there for you guys?
A little bit. LDLC picking Lijiang Tower here against Mousesports. Maybe they didn't watch them yesterday, but Mousesports thrashed Fnatic on Lijiang Tower. It was only a best of 3 to be fair, but Mousesports looked to be the better team. So for LDLC to pick that one here, I find curious, especially given that these 2 teams didn't actually play each other in the recent monthly melee that we saw pretty much all of these European teams at, which was like a way to take their temperature before DreamHack. So I find that a bit of an interesting pick here.
It is interesting, where I think for Mouse, they're super, super happy with going there.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised Mouse let Hollywood and others get in, like payload maps that other teams are very comfortable with, since it seemed like they had somewhat of a winning strategy against Fnatic. They just weren't able to get the full map pool they wanted, but we'll just have to see. I do think, though, that Lijiang Tower map could be very, very well for Mousesports here.
Now, as we're getting closer to the game to start, it is time for our predictions. Mitch, who do you think is going to take that first one?
Honestly, this is probably the toughest matchup to call in the entire tournament, I think, as outside the top teams. I think Mouse is going to take it. It's going to be 3 maps, though.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go with Mitch here and say it's going to be 3 maps for Mouse. And again, it's one of those things where it's hard to predict. The thing about teams, especially newer teams that have just formed, there's a lot of volatility involved in them, where they can have good days, they can have bad days. I think either team can take this, but I do think Mouse in 3.
You know what? For once, if they let me have my own, I actually gonna go for LDLC.
That's pretty, actually, this might look reasonable. This is actually reasonable.
Yeah, no, because I liked what I saw from them yesterday. Also, their players seemed very confident as well when we did get to talk to them. I have faith, and Cabal is very handsome. So,
You heard it here first.
Reasons, you know? So, with that, we're gonna end our predictions. Let's see what will be the outcome of that game. And for that, we're gonna head over to our casters, Jason and the wonderful Mr. X.
Thanks, Zoe. I am